Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about the tech that's literally building our future as we speak. Now, these aren't just a bunch of random buzzwords. They're actually all interconnected pieces of a much bigger puzzle. And figuring out how they all fit together, well, that's the key. You see, it's this incredibly powerful interlocking system. And today, we're going to build that system for you, piece by piece, so you can really see how it all clicks together. So let's start with the big picture, shall we? Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll get the lay of the land, the big picture. Then we'll lay down the foundation, which is all about big data. After that, we'll connect it to the real world with something called IoT, give the whole thing a brain with AI, and then we'll look at the engine and the shield that make it all run and keep it safe. All right, first things first. We throw around this term emerging technology all the time, right? But what does it actually mean? I mean, getting the definition straight is super important here. So the big takeaway here is we're not just talking about, the latest smartphone. Nope. We're talking about these super fast-moving, really innovative forces that can completely change how our society and our economy work. I mean, they have the power to change, well, pretty much everything.
And this really gets to the heart of it. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. On one hand, this tech is absolutely revolutionary and has this huge influence. But on the other hand, it's completely unpredictable. And it's that mix right there that makes it all so incredibly exciting. And also, seriously disruptive.
So if this stuff is so powerful, what's fueling it? What's the engine? Well, every single one of these technologies is built on one thing: data. And I'm not talking about a little bit of data. We're talking about an amount that is, honestly, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. 90% of all the data in the world was created in the last 2 years. That's just staggering. So to even try to get a sense of this scale, let's just zoom in on one platform we all know: Facebook. 260 billion with a B. That's how many images are stored on Facebook. Think about that. It's like a giant planet-sized photo album of our lives, our memories, our information. And here's the crazy part. As massive as that number is, it's already old news. Why? Because every single day, another 350 million photos get uploaded. It's this nonstop fire hose of new data. And remember, this isn't just happening on Facebook. It's happening right now, everywhere, all at once. This whole situation is perfectly summed up by what experts call the 3 V's of big data. First, you've got the volume, just the mind-boggling amount of it. Then there's velocity, the insane speed that it's all being created. And finally, you have variety. It's not just text anymore. It's pictures, videos, sounds, sensor readings, you name it. Okay, so we've established there's this gigantic ocean of data out there. But where's it all coming from? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle, and one that's getting bigger every day, is the network of actual physical things all around us.
And that brings us to the Internet of Things, or IoT for short. The easiest way to think about this is like they're the senses of the digital world. These devices are the eyes, the ears, the nerve endings that are out there in the real world, just constantly collecting information and beaming it back.
And listen, this isn't some far-off sci-fi thing. It's already here, in our daily lives. I'm talking about your smart thermostat at home, the sensors that manage traffic lights in a city, or even devices on a farm checking on the crops. IoT is quietly making our world way more responsive and efficient. But just collecting all that data, that's only step one. A sensor can tell you what the temperature is, sure, but it can't decide to turn on the AC. For that to happen, this whole system needs a brain. And you guessed it, that's where artificial intelligence comes in. AI is the brain. If all those IoT devices are the senses, collecting information, then AI is the part that takes all that information in, processes it, and figures out what to do next. So at its core, AI is the magic ingredient, really. It's what takes that mountain of raw data we talked about from big data, from IoT, and turns it into something we can actually use. Insights, predictions, and real purposeful action. And to really get what makes AI so powerful, you've got to look at 2 of its key abilities. The first one is learning. An AI can actually learn and get smarter just by looking at data. And the second one is autonomy, which means it can make its own decisions and act on them without a human telling it what to do every step of the way.
And this is where it starts to feel a lot like how we think. There's perception. That's how an AI can see the world, like finding your face in one of those 260 billion photos. And then there's reasoning. That's its ability to look at a ton of complex info, spot patterns, and make a logical call, like figuring out the absolute best way to route traffic in a city based on what's happening right now.
Okay, so let's recap. We have the raw material, the data. We have the senses, the IoT. And we have the brain, AI. But where does all this heavy lifting actually happen? I mean, where does this stuff get stored and processed? And, maybe more importantly, with all this valuable info flying around, how do you keep it all safe? The answer to the first question is the cloud. You can think of it as the giant global engine room for this whole operation. Instead of every single company having to build its own gigantic, expensive data center, the cloud gives them access to basically unlimited storage and computing power. It's what lets all this tech grow and scale at lightning speed. But here's the catch. When you gather all that data and all that power in one place, well, you create a very, very tempting target for bad guys. The very thing that makes the system so valuable is also what makes it incredibly vulnerable. And that means it needs a really strong shield. Because the threats are nonstop and they're always changing, cybersecurity becomes absolutely non-negotiable. It's the shield. It's the constant, round-the-clock defense of this entire system from all sorts of digital attacks. It's what protects the brain, the senses, the very foundation of everything we've been talking about.
So there you have it. That's how all the pieces fit together. See, it's not just a random collection of buzzwords, it's one big connected system. You've got big data as the foundation, IoT as the senses, AI as the brain, the cloud as the engine powering it all, and cybersecurity as the shield protecting it. Every single part is crucial, and together, they're literally building the world of tomorrow.
And that leaves us with one last really big question. The power of this whole interconnected system is just undeniable, but so are the risks. So are we building a smarter world, or are we building a more vulnerable one? The truth is, that's the question we are all helping to answer right now, every single time we go online.